Hello, welcome to Japan Lyric Room. In this show, we will savor the lyrics of Japanese songs, delivering the meanings hidden in their phrases and Japan's unique cultural backgrounds in an easy-to-understand way.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, me too. So, I want you, the listener, to just imagine something for a second. Imagine you're sitting in the passenger seat of a car.
Okay, setting the scene. I like it.
Right, and you aren't really talking much to the driver. Instead, you've got this notebook balanced on your lap, and you are just furiously writing down every single thing you see outside the window.
Just capturing everything in real time.
Exactly. Every passing building, every shift in the color of the sky, every gust of wind hitting the glass. Today, we're exploring how one young woman did exactly that in 1976.
It's such an amazing story.
It really is. And in the process, she accidentally wrote this monumental anthem that, essentially defined the entire concept of the city pop genre in Japan.
It truly is a landmark piece of music history. I'm so glad we're taking the time for this lyric explanation today.
Absolutely.
So the song we are savoring is Chuo Freeway, and it's by the legendary Yumi Arai, who later became Yumi Matsutoya.
Right, from her iconic album, The 14th Moon.
Yes, exactly. And the Chūō Freeway is a very real highway that stretches out of Tokyo. But in this song, it becomes, something so much bigger than just a road.
It's fascinating how she takes a completely ordinary drive and, through these vivid cinematic strokes, just elevates it into the ultimate drama.
Yeah, totally.
And the backstory behind how these lyrics were written is honestly just as romantic as the song itself. So let's set the scene for you.
Okay, take us back to the 70s.
Right, it's the 1970s. The woman with the notebook in the passenger seat is Yumi Arai, and the man driving the car is her then-boyfriend, Masataka Matsutoya.
Whom she would eventually marry, which is just, it's so sweet.
It is, and he's driving them out of the dense center of Tokyo toward her family home in Hachioji.
That image of her just, documenting reality in real time as they drive toward Hachioji is incredible.
Just scribbling away.
Yeah. And we have to give immense credit to the musical arrangement here, too. The track was backed by the band Tin Pan Alley.
Oh, legends. Absolute legends.
Right. Harumi Hosono, Shigeru Suzuki, Tatsuo Hayashi, and, fittingly, the driver himself, Masataka Matsutoya. They provided the most sophisticated, breezy, urban instrumental sound in Japan at the time.
It was basically the perfect canvas for her words.
It really was.
So our mission today is to literally follow that drive. We are going to chronologically trace their exact route from the crowded city out into the suburbs.
A literal road trip through the song.
Exactly. We will see exactly how a simple highway commute was transformed into an enduring generational story. So let's put ourselves right there at the start of the drive as they navigate out of the urban center.
Okay, let's hear the first phrase.
Translated into English, the meaning is, as we pass the former site of the Chōfu Air Base and drive toward the Tama Hills stretching out ahead.
Right.
And the cultural nuance you have to picture here is exactly that literal imagery. As we pass the former site of the Chōfu Air Base and drive toward the Tama Hills stretching out ahead.
We really need to look closely at that specific location she mentions, the Chōfu Air Base, or Chofukichi. Historically, this refers to the former site of a U.S. military base.
Okay, so it's a very specific landmark.
Very specific. And geographically, right after you pass the Chūō interchange, the highway makes a distinct shift. Suddenly, the view that was completely blocked by the claustrophobic, tall city buildings of Tokyo, it just completely opens up.
Oh, I love that feeling.
Right. The ridge line of the Tama Hills appears right in front of you. So passing the Chofukichi is this massive geographical and emotional shift for the couple in the car.
It's that physical sensation of, leaving the dense public world and entering an open, private realm. You know that feeling, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Think about how it feels on a Friday evening when you finally leave the office. You're navigating through the crowded downtown streets, your shoulders are tight, you're stressed.
Yes, the Friday rush hour tension.
Exactly. But then you hit that specific point on your commute where the city suddenly gives way to the open road. You can physically feel your shoulders drop. Your stress just melts away as you head toward your weekend sanctuary.
That is exactly the quiet, undeniable excitement captured right at the start of the song. They are shedding the noise of daily life.
Leaving it in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, exactly. The somewhat exotic, slightly foreign landscape of the former military base is fading behind them, and their destination, those natural open hills, is waiting ahead.
It's such a natural flow of physical movement.
It perfectly mirrors their internal shift toward intimacy. They're finally alone.
And as they leave the base behind and those hills open up, Time is naturally passing, The afternoon is fading. Yumi captures this exact transition by turning her attention to the glass right in front of them.
Oh, this next lyric is stunning.
It is. She sings. In English, this translates to, "The twilight sky spreads out before us, staining the windshield with its colors."
Wow.
Right. And the cultural nuance here lies in that very specific visual. The twilight sky spreads out before us, staining the windshield with its colors.
The key word we really have to unpack here is tasoga, which means twilight. In Japanese culture, this time of day has always represented a very delicate boundary.
Like the transition between light and dark.
Exactly. It's the fleeting line between day and night. Traditionally, it's considered the time of day when human emotions are most easily swayed, stirred up, or made vulnerable.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Yumi portrays this shifting emotional boundary through a highly visual expression. The sky isn't just changing color, it is literally staining the glass in front of them.
Wow. Okay, so wait. If the twilight is literally painting the glass right in front of their faces, is the windshield essentially acting like a movie screen for their unspoken feelings?
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Because, they are sitting side by side, driving west, staring at this rapidly changing palette of colors on the glass. But they aren't looking at each other, and they aren't necessarily having a deep conversation.
That is a brilliant way to look at it. The windshield is absolutely a screen. Think about the unique psychology of being in a car with someone.
It's very intimate, but also kind of safely detached.
Yes. It's a very specific form of intimacy because you aren't forced to make eye contact. Looking directly into someone's eyes to express a deep emotion can be terrifying. It raises your defenses.
Definitely. You feel put on the spot.
But in a car, you are both looking forward to the exact same view. Your defenses drop. That nonverbal communication is condensed right here into this vivid description of color.
The changing sky reflects their internal emotional landscape without either of them having to say a single word. So the colors are doing the heavy lifting, but that doesn't mean it's completely silent inside the car. She does eventually try to speak, which brings us to an incredibly charming moment on the drive.
I love this part.
Me too. She writes, the English translation is, "I say, I love you, but it doesn't reach you, lost in the sound of the wind."
So poetic.
And the cultural nuance you have to hold on to here is exactly that. I say, I love you, but it doesn't reach you, lost in the sound of the wind.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of their relationship, it is so crucial to understand that this is not a communication.
Right, they aren't fighting.
No, not at all. She isn't upset or heartbroken that he can't hear her over the wind. In fact, it represents an incredibly deep level of trust. Being together has become so natural for them that they understand each other's feelings without actually needing verbal confirmation.
I love that, because blaming the loud wind is almost a playful, shy excuse, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like having a profound inside joke with a partner. You're at a loud, crowded party, you make eye contact from across the room, and you don't need to shout the punchline over the music. The shared silence and the trust do all the communicating.
Exactly. The shared understanding is already there.
Right. She wants to express her affection, but delivering a straight, serious "I love you" while sitting right next to him feels a bit too heavy or maybe too embarrassing for a breezy drive.
Exactly. It's a very uniquely Japanese expression of intimacy. There's a certain shyness, a light frustration in realizing that a direct confession feels almost too dramatic for this beautiful, casual moment.
So she deflects a little bit.
Yes, she cleverly uses a natural phenomenon, the strong wind, as a convenient safety net for why her words didn't land.
That's so clever.
The trust between them is so solid that she can safely toss an "I love you" out into the wind, fully knowing that the relationship doesn't require him to hear it perfectly to know that it's true. It's a game that you're playing.
It's so safe and secure, and, as they play this game, the twilight eventually fades completely into night. This is where the song takes a breathtaking, almost surreal turn.
It really shifts gears here.
It does. The lyrics go. The translation is, "The city lights eventually begin to twinkle, making it feel as if the two of us have become a meteor."
I just get chills.
Same. And the exact cultural nuances, the city lights eventually begin to twinkle, making it feel as if the two of us have become a meteor.
We really need to analyze the poetic Japanese word used here, matatakidasu. It means to begin twinkling or shimmering, almost like a star coming to life in the dark.
Matatakidasu. It even sounds magical.
It does. As the evening deepens and the twilight gives way to complete darkness, the city lights below them start to turn on and sparkle. In that exact moment, because the car is traveling at high speed down the Chuo Freeway, it stops being just a metal box on wheels.
It totally transforms.
It completely transcends physical travel. In her mind, it transforms into a meteor cutting through the dark space of the night.
The physics of that are so fascinating to me. They are physically grounded. They're literally rolling on a concrete highway in a machine made of steel. Yet the lyrics create this cosmic floating sensation.
It's a complete sensory shift.
And if you've ever driven on a highway at night, you know this exact feeling. The cabin of the car goes completely dark, the engine hums steadily, and the bright lights outside just blur past you in long streaks.
You lose your sense of the road beneath you.
Yes. And you really do feel completely untethered from the earth. The Chūō Freeway essentially becomes outer space.
It does. And that is the absolute peak of the emotional climax of this drive. The exhilaration hits its zenith.
They're flying.
They're experiencing this cosmic floating sensation while remaining firmly planted on the ground, painted by that beautiful verb takedasu. It is sensory deprivation inside the car, amplifying the magical lights outside the car.
But right when they're floating in space like a meteor, Yumi pulls her focus back inside the car and grounds us in the immediate physical surroundings in like the most unexpected way.
This next part always makes me smile.
She notes what she sees out the window. Translated to English, this means, on the right, you can see the racecourse. On the left, the Suntory Musashino Brewery.
So specific.
And the cultural nuance here is exactly that literal observation. On the right, you can see the racecourse. On the left, the Suntory Musashino Brewery.
This raises an incredibly important point about her genius in songwriting. She is calling out real-world, highly specific, physical locations.
The Tokyo Racecourse and the brewery?
Exactly. The Tokyo Racecourse in Fuchu and the Suntory Musashino Brewery. By placing these actual, tangible landmarks directly into the lyrics, the song suddenly gains an immense amount of reality.
It grounds the whole meteor metaphor.
Yes. In Japanese pop music, dropping in specific place names functions as a powerful device to anchor the song, locking it into the listener's own memories of those exact places.
Wait, hold on, though. A beer factory and a horse racetrack.
I know.
I mean, if I took someone on a date and pointed out a massive industrial brewery and a place to bet on horses, I really don't think they'd call it a romantic landmark.
Probably not.
You usually think of the Eiffel Tower or a gorgeous secluded beach. How in the world is she making these completely mundane buildings sound so glamorous?
Because of the lens she is looking through. That is the pure magic of Yumi's youthful sensibility. To anyone else driving by, you're right, they are just mundane, everyday, industrial, and entertainment facilities.
The concrete buildings.
But through her eyes, viewed from the passenger seat next to the man she loves, those specific buildings become the dramatic coordinates of a deeply special date.
Oh, wow.
Because these landmarks are real and mundane, anyone who drives that route instantly shares in that cultural memory. The song ceases to be just her personal diary. It stands up as a shared story for anyone who has ever found romance in the ordinary.
Wow. If you view your daily life through the lens of love, a beer factory becomes a glowing castle. That is beautiful.
It really is.
And passing those everyday buildings doesn't bring the soaring mood down at all. In fact, it pushes them higher. She sings. Translated. This road is like a runway continuing into the night sky.
Such a powerful image.
And the cultural nuance is, this road is like a runway continuing into the night sky.
Comparing the long, straight stretch of the highway to a runway emphasizes the sheer width of the view and the refreshing exhilaration they feel.
Like they're about to take off.
Exactly. Notice what is entirely missing here. There's absolutely no anxiety. There is no uncertainty about the future, no stress from the city they left behind. There is only the feeling that this pleasant, forward-moving moment will continue forever.
It connects right back to the meteor imagery from earlier. The car was a meteor, and now the road itself has physically blurred the line between the city and the sky.
The highway is lifting them up.
They have fully taken off.
Exactly. This sense of total openness, where the urban landscape seamlessly connects to the open sky, is the ultimate representation of the 1970s city pop aesthetic.
The optimism of that era.
It was a time of huge optimism. You were driving on the ground, but your heart and mind are already soaring in the sky. There are very few lyrics in Japanese music history that symbolize the pure, unburdened freedom of city pop as vividly as this single runway metaphor.
But they are flying down this runway, heading toward her family home, and relationships are complex. Even soaring flights have their nuanced, deeply human moments.
They do.
Which brings us to the final lyric we are exploring today. She writes, the English translation is, "You used to drive me all the way home, but lately you've been a little distant, haven't you?"
A very crucial line.
And the cultural nuance here is exactly, you used to drive me all the way home, but lately you've been a little distant, haven't you?
We must be very careful with our pronunciation and our psychological interpretation of the Japanese here. The phrase she uses is choto tsumetai ne. Literally translated, it means a little cold or a little distant, but it's critical for you, the listener, to know this is absolutely not a breakup song or an argument.
Right, because he's literally driving her home at this very moment.
Exactly. What she's expressing is a uniquely Japanese psychological concept known as amae.
Yes, choro tsumetai ne. And that incredible concept of amae. Let's really unpack amae because it's fascinating.
It's such a nuanced idea.
It translates roughly to a kind of sweet dependency, right? I liken it to the spice in a long-term relationship.
I like that. The spice.
She is sitting right next to him, totally safe, enjoying this glorious drive, but she's nostalgically comparing today. It's the absolute peak of their honeymoon phase, when maybe he drove her all the way to her doorstep every single day without fail.
Precisely. Amae is a light, loving dissatisfaction. It is a request for indulgence. She feels just a tiny bit wanting because the frequency of those intense, over-the-top romantic gestures has naturally decreased as they've settled into a comfortable routine.
Which happens in every relationship.
Of course. But here's the secret to understanding this lyric. You can only express amae. You can only safely poke at your partner with a phrase like choto tsumetai ne when the relationship is incredibly stable and deep.
Because you aren't worried about scaring them off.
Right. It's not an actual accusation. It's a way of playfully seeking affection. It actually proves that their bond is completely secure. You only complain about a lack of rides home if you know unconditionally that they won't leave you over it.
That makes total sense. So, stepping back, what does this all mean for us today? We've traveled from the crowded, stressful city, past the old military base, watched the twilight paint the windshield, tossed an I love you into the howling wind.
Became a meteor,
Flew off a highway runway, and finally landed in the sweet, spicy comfort of a long-term romance.
To synthesize this incredible journey, Chō Freeway isn't just a song about a road. It is a rich, multi-layered record of love.
It really is.
Yumi Arai possessed this youthful, radiant magic that allowed her to sit quietly in a passenger seat, gaze at the side profile of the person she loved, and completely transform the passing scenery. She turned everyday breweries and twilight drives into a timeless, shared generational story.
It's beautiful.
The light dissatisfaction born from a stable relationship becomes the spice, while the two of them speed down a runway that leads straight into the night sky. It's a free, sophisticated, entirely pure form of love that hasn't faded even 50 years later.
It really makes you pause and reconsider the world outside your own car window, Think about your own daily commute or a familiar drive you took all the time to run errands.
Such a good point.
How would those completely mundane streets look if you actively chose to view them through the lens of art and affection? Could that old factory on your route or that standard concrete overpass be a romantic landmark in your own movie? It's all about how you choose to see the world unfolding before you. Thank you so much for tuning in again this time. We are always picking up various Japanese songs, and we've updated our website with detailed lyrical explanations. If you want to savor the lyrics even more deeply, please check the link in the description to visit our website. If you enjoyed this show, we would love for you to subscribe and follow the channel. Also, if you have any thoughts or requests for songs you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time. This was Japan Lyric Room.